What is going on, everyone? Thank you all for watching my video tonight. It is the week of Christmas. The holiday spirit is upon us. And what does that mean? It doesn't just mean that you're going to get to spend time with your family and open gifts and celebrate the birth of Christ, whatever you do around the holiday season. It also means it's Eagles-Cowboys week. And for that reason, I'm bringing on my Daily Collegian men's hockey beat partner, Jim Hartnett, to talk some Eagles-Cowboys. Jim, thank you for joining me today. How are you doing?
Joe, thanks for having me first off. But man, it is birds versus boys week, and it is a big matchup in the NFC East. I argue two of the best NFC teams, arguably two of the best teams in the NFL playing, and it's biggest game for the Eagles since the Super Bowl in 2017. And, winning, we lock up the number one seed. So,
yeah, if they get this win, they're 13-1. I said before the season, my prediction was 15-2. 16-1 at this point is very in play. So a win this week would be huge. But I think everyone sees the jersey I got on right now. Jalen Hurts is not expected to play right now due to the injury. Gardner Minshew, the best backup quarterback in football, could be getting the start on Christmas, going against, like you said, a great Dallas team. Dak Prescott's obviously going to be playing for Dallas. So just before we get to some comments our fellow Penn Stater Micah Parsons made about Jalen earlier this week, just sticking with the actual game, what's your expectations coming in? Do you think Minshew's going to get the start?
Well, as an avid Philadelphia sports fan, I keep up with, what Nick Sirianni has to say, what Jalen Hurts has to say. And, as any typical team would be, you leave the Cowboys unprepared for who's going to start a quarterback. Jalen Hurts is not playing this football game. We're one game away from locking up the number one seed. We're not going to risk, further injuring the quarterback and, franchise quarterback for all that. So I'm happy, like you said, the best quarterback. We have the best backup quarterback in the league, and we are going to be able to – the run game isn't going to be as heavy, but, I think it's going to be a low-scoring battle. If Gardner Minshew can not make mistakes, Nick Sirianni runs the ball early, you got to feed Miles Sanders. So if he can do that, I can't see why the Eagles shouldn't win this game.
Yeah, I think that it's just, even with Minshew in the lineup, I agree. I just have this weird feeling that the Eagles are going to find a way to pull this out. And like you said, lock up that number one seed, clinch the one seed, because to your point, this could be a low scoring game. But with Jalen Hurts out, I agree. You got to establish that run early with Miles. And my dad, he's a big Cowboys fan. He's been talking to me all week. He's worried because Leighton Vander Esch is hurt now, and he might not be coming back anytime soon. Dallas's run defense has already had some holes at times this year. And with Leighton, who's had a bounce back season out of the lineup, it is in the realm of possibility that the Eagles are able to establish that run. Now, Dallas still has some good players on the D-line, but do you think that the run is going to be what wins this game for the Eagles, or do you think at the end of the day, as the game evolves, it's going to become more of a Brown and Smith kind of show?
Well, I think it has to be, in order for the Eagles to win, it has to be a Miles Sanders game. If he doesn't get, 20 carries, 110-plus rushing yards, and a touchdown, I think the Eagles lose just because, Dallas and Dak have proven that, they can put up 34 points like they did last week against Jacksonville. But also they've proven that they can give up 40 points on defense.
Yeah.
And, they can be one of the best teams in the NFL, shutting down the Vikings for 3 points in 1 week and then let the Jaguars throw up 40. And that's no discredit to the Jaguars. But, Micah Parsons is really talking about on his podcast a whole week earlier about, Jalen Hurts this and ends up losing to Jacksonville. So it's kind of ironic. And I'm glad that I'm upset that Jalen Hurts won't be playing, but I'm glad that, the whole system thing might be disproven at this point. So barring that would be a loss. So,
yeah, that's the interesting part. Cause Dallas for the most part, especially on offense, is fully healthy. You mentioned Micah's comments, the idea that Jalen Hurts is a system quarterback. I know this is something you wanted to talk about. I find it asinine as well, because isn't he the system? This isn't like Nick Sirianni. What's the system if it's
right.
not just running through Jalen Hurts' talents?
Right.
Is Minshew going to come in and do the same thing Jalen Hurts has been doing? I don't think so. What do you say to that?
And that's the reason why Nick Sirianni leaves the door open for, is Jalen Hurts going to play or Gardner Minshew? Because you have the game plan for two different styles of offense. You can't, like you said, you can't throw Gardner Minshew out there and expect to run the option the entire game. That's not going to work. That's not Gardner Minshew's style. He's a sit in the pocket kind of guy. He can run a little bit, but you have the game plan for two different quarterbacks. So with that being said, Jalen Hurts has proven, he's already on pace to break the touchdown franchise record. He's already on pace to break the rushing record. I think at this point, with all these analysts and especially, a player that's already played against him, discrediting what he's done this season, I think it's a little, like you said, asinine. And, it just, I think it makes Jalen want to play a little bit more. But at the end of the day, we need to focus on the end goal that Sirianni always says. It isn't about, winning the NFC East, and it isn't about this, because, that all comes with winning games. But the end goal is winning the Super Bowl. And, the Eagles will be the first team to, have a coach within their first, I don't know, it was like something within their first 5 years, and to have Sirianni come back and do that. I mean, come on, that'd be ridiculous.
It would be something special for sure. I mean, the Eagles winning 2 Super Bowls, if it happens, it's still obviously a lot to be played, but like
a lot to happen.
It's just the fact that like they just won the Super Bowl 5 years ago, and they're already had a different coach, a different quarterback, really a lot of different players. I mean, besides some of those veterans on the defense. So it's really cool to see how quickly they've retooled the team. But when we were talking about the Micah Parsons, his comments, do you think like that's what he says, that's kind of just rivalry, like speech, just him trying to fire up his guys? Or do you think people around the league, there's other people who might feel similarly? Do you think Jalen Hurts gets the credit he deserves, or do you think that's just kind of Micah Parsons kind of trying to stir the pot?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, Joe. I think his comments at first were taken out of context. I don't think he was trying to, put down Jalen's season. But he was trying to say that it's not all him. And, that at the end of the day, it is true. You have A.J. Brown, you have Devontae Smith. You have this great defense who's number 1 in rushing, number 1 in passing yards allowed. I mean, it's a recipe for success. But it just so happens that you have, one of the best quarterbacks. So I think he does get a lot of credit elsewhere from around the league. But I think it's locker room material. This is going to be, it's on social media, but all 53 men on that active roster for the Eagles saw that video, saw that podcast, saw what he had to say, and are gonna, think of that at the back of their mind when they go out there on Saturday, Christmas Eve, and say, this dude thinks we're just a system. We're just getting by the skin of our teeth. This and that. No, let's go prove something. So yeah. I think it's definitely locker room material.
Yeah, I never get why you would throw this kind of stuff out there to motivate a team as good as the Eagles. Why even risk, just adding that extra motivation for a team like that? I don't get it, but I guess it is what it is now. Getting back to one more point on the game, you were talking about the Eagles establishing the run. Dallas, on the other end, probably might have the best running back duo in the league. Pollard has really earned a lot of people's respect, including mine this season. Zeke's looked rejuvenated to a degree. Do you think the Eagles' front seven is up to the task of stopping that tandem for Dallas? Because even though the Eagles' defensive line has played really well this season, they've also had some trouble at times stopping the run at times this season. So what do you think about that matchup?
Absolutely. Yeah, they've definitely have struggled. I mean, look at Washington. It seemed like every time they were going first, second, third down, getting that third down conversion via the run, and it just seemed like they couldn't stop them. Same with Indianapolis. So yes, I'm worried, but with a healthy Jordan Davis, the additions of Linval Joseph, Ndamukong Suh, Fletcher Cox playing just as good as he's really ever been playing. He's not a sore thumb out there. So, I mean, Zeke's going to have his touchdown. Zeke's going to get his 60 yards. Tony Pollard is going to get his, 10 touches and stuff like that. But, it's all about limiting it. And I think if the Eagles can stay gap sound, not overcommit to a certain area of the game, I think they'll be in good hands. And if they can, it really starts with the run game, because if you can limit their run game and you have a good run game, I think it's just a recipe for success in Dallas on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. And it feels like, once again, with the Minshew point, because we know he can. While we know he can make plays, he's proven it. At the same time, in a game like this against a team like Dallas, you don't want Minshew airing the ball out. So I do think I am in agreement with you. The more I think about this, I do think, like you said, it's going to be a ground and pound, kind of a low scoring game. Could see some field goals more than touchdowns at times in this game, but it's a big contest. I'm interested to hear. Do you really believe this is the biggest game for the Eagles since the Super Bowl? I don't necessarily disagree, but I'm just interested to hear you expand on that.
I say that, I would have been more confident in that had Jalen Hurts been playing.
Okay.
It would have eliminated that whole narrative of, it was the Carson Wentz versus Dak Prescott. Who's going to be better? And then we bring in Jalen Hurts and everybody's like, oh, you got this next guy to, replace somebody who already took you to a Super Bowl, arguably. I think it would have erased a lot of, question marks. It would have proved a lot of naysayers. And being that I say it's the biggest game since the Super Bowl. I mean, we played the Saints in, the divisional round down in New Orleans, and we were a catch away from going to the conference championship game. All these games that have led up to this moment, the Eagles haven't won 13 games. Have won 13 games one time in a season. They're going for the 14th win. And I just think in Dallas, stakes on the line, locking up the number 1 seed, locking up the division, biggest game until the 2023 Super Bowl, which the Eagles will win.
Okay. All right. That's what I like to hear. That's the confidence I like to hear from you, Jim. One last question for you here. I'm excited for this game on Saturday. If the Eagles win,
yes,
will the family, after the game, be playing the Eagles offensive line Christmas album to celebrate?
Joe, it's been ordered. It's to be shipped. But yes, I have it on Spotify and Apple Music. I will be definitely listening to it. But, if not, there's always next week because I'll be in attendance on New Year's Day for the Saints. So hopefully I'll be a good luck charm if they don't make it.
Okay. Well, that should be an easy win. You can't lose that game.
I'm not worried about that one. Yeah.
Yeah. We don't need to do a preview for that one.
No.
All right. Well, Eagles-Cowboys this Saturday, probably the biggest game of Christmas Eve. So I'm really excited to watch it. I know you're excited for it, Jim. So thank you for coming on to talk about this game with me.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming on. I will be wearing this jersey on Christmas Eve.
Minshew Mania.
Yes. I've been waiting for almost 2 years to break this jersey back out again since he's been traded away from the Jags. But this is the time to break it out. So, Jim Hartnett, thank you for coming on. I'm excited to see what happens in the Eagles-Cowboys game. Thank you all for watching my video today. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you aren't already. I know a lot of you guys out there are Eagles fans, so best of luck to the Birds this Saturday. Have a Merry Christmas. Have a great rest of your night.